A very, very, very good evening. Sunday the 28th of May 2023. Another year, another council leader, another controversy almost immediately. I wasn't due to be back just yet, but who am I to control or influence what the national media think, particularly as we have spent over 3 years trying to get a national newspaper to run with this story, or a version of this story, and finally they have. I think I'm going to split this transmission into 3 parts. One is how it came to be that the Mail on Sunday ran this story. Second part of this transmission will be what this story actually is, and the third part is the questions it raises, and we're next for this town of ours. Mark Hookham, senior journalist at the Mail on Sunday. Type his name in and you'll see he's a very well respected journalist from the newspaper. I first started liaising with the Daily Mail, the Mail on Sunday, over 3 years ago. I know some of you have been getting in touch with me like, oh, get in touch with GB News, or get in touch with this newspaper, or get in touch with that newspaper. Do you not think I have? Do you not think we've been trying for years? And we got very close 3 years ago with a guy called Abu Tahid, I think his name is, who's the security correspondent for the Mail on Sunday, who was interested in the story, and I sent him all the stuff, and we had a series of exchanges, and the story got pulled and he stopped talking to me. And I got the impression the story got pulled at a higher level. 3 years later, we've taken out Sean Fielding as leader of Oldham Council. We've taken out AROOJ Shah, first time round as leader of Oldham Council. We've taken out Amanda Chadderton as leader of Oldham Council. We've sent Andy Burnham packing and exposed his assurance review as a cover-up exercise, and exposed the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of our town's children. The landscape today is very different than 3 years ago. And Mark Hookham emailed me to say, "Hi Raja, your claims are incredulous. Would you mind giving me a call?" So I gave him a call. I emailed him. He emailed me back. And this went on for the best part of 3 weeks. And during this time, I reached out to other politicians in the town. And fair dues to Lewis Quigg. Brave enough, the only one brave enough to come forward and say it as it is. The only one brave enough to come forward and say it as it is. So fair dues to Councillor Lewis Quigg, the Conservative from Royton North. I don't think you drive, do you, Lewis? But if you did, I'd start checking your rear view mirror, because I check my rear view mirror, and I've been for the last 3 or 4 years. Well, forget any suspicions. He was convicted. Irish IMY, let's be clear, was convicted in December 2020 for having his scouts follow me. And so confident was he even published it online. And he was convicted for that, for having me followed. His scouts. Now, who are the scouts of a convicted heroin dealer? Who are the scouts of a dangerous criminal? Well, they're bound to be other dangerous criminals, aren't they? That's how this story came about in the Mail on Sunday. It's through a series of exchanges I had with Mark Hookham, and Mark should be praised. He should be praised for his courage in seeing this through. He couldn't believe it. When I first started exchanging emails with him and phone calls with him, he found it difficult to believe, and it is a difficult story to believe. It is a difficult story to believe, as is everything that I have exposed, because what I've exposed, I don't want it to be true, because it asks serious questions of the validity of our democracy and our way of life. Well done to Mark Hookham. Well done, very, very well done to Lewis Quigg. Now I'm going to read the story to you and then I'm going to raise some issues. Now, I know you've all read the story. In fact, I went and bought the Mail on Sunday. Those of you on Telegram who follow me on Telegram, you should follow me on Telegram, by the way. I was hinting for the last few days that it will run this Sunday. And I was up till, I think, 1:30 in the morning, just checking to see it would finally run. You could understand. It took us over 3 years. It took us over 3 years to get this into a national newspaper. Let's have a look at what the national newspaper had to say. Please, if you find value in these transmissions, please like, please share, and please, if you're able to, please consider buying me a coffee. This is the headline. Revealed how Angela Rayner ally celebrated election win with police killer's getaway driver. Now, the relevance of Angela Rayner's ally, she's a deputy leader of the Labour Party. If Labour win the election next year, she will be the deputy prime minister. So it's right that a national newspaper is going beyond queering AROOJ Shah's relationship, but AROOJ Shah enjoys a close friendship with Angela Rayner. Both Labour Party women, and the Mail on Sunday, Mark Hookham, is asking what the connection is with a dangerous gangland individual who was, as can be seen here, a police killer's getaway driver. A cop killer's getaway driver. A key political ally of Labour Deputy Leader Angela Rayner is linked to a career criminal jailed for helping police women's killer DALE CREGAN, the Mail on Sunday can reveal. And remember, the police women that he killed, one of them was from Oldham. The very council that AROOJ Shah represents. AROOJ Shah, 44, so that's all she is, 44, the newly elected Labour leader of Oldham Council, was pictured celebrating her win this month with Cregan's getaway driver Mohammed Imran Ali. Ali, 42, was jailed for 7 years in 2013 for driving Cregan to a safe house after he killed gangland rivals. One-eyed Cregan evaded a huge manhunt and, while on the run, murdered 2 policewomen in Manchester in a horrifying gun and grenade ambush. Now remember, his stash of weapons were found in a drain pipe in Glodwick. Not at all far from the celebration party that Irish IMY and AROOJ Shah and others held in Glodwick last week. Oh yeah. How DALE CREGAN, a gangster, a white gangster from Tameside, had his grenades stashed in Glodwick? Well, I'll let you speculate. Known locally as Irish IMY, Ali, who has also been convicted for drug trafficking and assault, is a childhood friend of Miss Shah's and campaigned for her at the local election, urging residents to join Team AROOJ. There's also the hashtag FUCK the Tories. He was also pictured in front of a huge Vote Shah billboard that was being towed by a blacked out Land Rover. A blacked out Land Rover. And he put the picture up himself. That's AROOJ Shah and Angela Rayner. And that's a zoom in of the picture. At the count, AROOJ Shah next to her brother, Akil Salamat, the councillor, wedged between them, and immediately behind them, fist pumping, is the dangerous criminal, Irish IMY. The Mail of Sunday has obtained another picture that shows Ali with fist raised among a group of Labour activists standing directly behind Ms Shah after she regained a seat on Oldham Council in Greater Manchester on May 5th. A further image shows Ali and Ms Shah later celebrating her win at a mocktail lounge in Oldham. Celebrating the win at a mocktail lounge in Oldham. We all know about that mocktail lounge, don't we? And the location of that lounge, before it became Mocktail 24, it was Gelato's Ice Lounge, and AROOJ SHAH backdated her resignation on Company's House. On Facebook after the election, Ali said, "Nice to have the real leader of Oldham Council back. Oldham stood up and got behind the best person for the job." Ali and Ms. Shah's relationship raises questions for Ms. RAYNOR, whose Ashton-under-Lyne constituency includes parts of Oldham. Like Ali, Ms. RAYNOR, along with Shadow Environment Secretary JIM McMAHON, attended the May the 5th election count at Oldham Civic Centre, and they were pictured congratulating Ms. Shah on her win. Ms. Shah also posted a picture on Twitter of her and Ms. RAYNOR after a coffee and catch-up a week before polling day. Ms. RAYNOR spoke out in 2021 about the threats and abuse her friend Ms. Shah faced during an earlier stint as council leader. The Mail on Sunday has learned that just hours before his appearance at last month's election count, just hours before, Ali pleaded guilty at Manchester Magistrates Court to breaching a restraining order and was given a further 12-month community sentence. Given a 12-month community sentence. The order had banned him from approaching a local political activist. Last night, Tory councillor Lewis Quigg said it was a disgrace that Ms. Shah was associated with Ali and called on Ms. RAYNOR to detail what she knows about his role with the local Labour Party. He said, "You would think from listening to Sir Keir Starmer that the Labour Party is a paragon of virtue. Yet in Oldham, he has a council leader who is hanging around with a convicted criminal. Irish IMY assisted one of the country's most notorious criminals, DALE CREGAN, who murdered 2 police officers. It's mind-boggling that this person appears to have had any role in AROOJ SHAH's campaign. Angela Rayner and Jim McMahon should explain exactly what they know about this individual's role with the Labour Party in Oldham and why the council leader continues to associate with him." I think those are questions that many Oldhamers would like to have answered, Councillor Quigg. Ali drove Gangster Cregan and 2 others from Manchester to Leeds after Cregan, 39, shot David Short dead in August 2012. Cregan had shot Short's son Mark dead at a pub in Droylsden, Tameside 3 months earlier. A month after killing David Short, Cregan lured PC Fiona Bone, 32, and PC Nicola Hughes, 23, to a home in Tameside with a bogus 999 call before murdering them in a sickening gun and grenade attack. Ali appeared alongside Cregan in the dock and was jailed for 7 years for assisting an offender. He was freed in 2016 but recalled to prison in 2018 after breaching the terms of his early release licence. And there's some questions around that as well, which we'll get to. Won't we, my brother Jamal? At his trial, Ali admitted serving sentences behind bars totaling 16 years, starting with 3 months for assault at 15. Sentences followed for trafficking drugs, including heroin and cocaine. Humanitarian, eh? Humanitarian. He was also convicted of assault after hitting a 59-year-old man with a 2-foot plank outside a pub. In an emotional town hall speech 3 years ago, Ms. Shah addressed her association with Ali, who she has known since age 11. She said her friendship and relationships would be difficult for some people to accept, but added she could not pretend they don't exist, and certainly I can't turn my back on people I've known since childhood. She said she would never condone Ali's actions. Added, I do not disown people, for political convenience. Nor do I advance my political career. Well, you have advanced your political career because you've been campaigning with you. That's by the by. Last bit. A Labour source said Ms Shah did not invite Ali to the election count and that he is not a member of the party or formally affiliated with it. Ms Shah last night declined to comment. The leader of Oldham Council declined to comment. I'm fortunate enough to have childhood friends. And AROOJ Shah has used a different term last year when she was leader of the council and challenged. She made reference to him as a family friend. So it wasn't a childhood friend, she made reference to him as a family friend. Let's start with the childhood friend. She's from Glodick, he isn't, he's from Werneth. The bloke he hit with a plank was in Werneth. He spent most, from the age of 15 onwards, he spent the best part of 16 years in prison, on off in prison. I'm starting to question, no, I'll rephrase that. I think it's in the public interest for AROOJ Shah to confirm what she means, what her definition is of a childhood friend, and the circumstances of that friendship. She's the leader of Oldham Council. He's one of the most dangerous criminals in this country. And by the way, I've not brought it with me today, but there was, I think it was an Oldham Chronicle story, not during the time, where it listed the most dangerous criminals in this town, and Mohammed Imran Ali was on it. The police had been hunting for him. He'd skipped bail or something. And he was on a list. He was photographed alongside a whole host of other criminals that the police were trying to find. I think it's fair to ask, what is the nature of that friendship? Where did it form? Where did it establish? And more so now, what is the nature of that relationship? Because it is in the public interest. It is in the public interest. So that's the first thing. The second thing I want to raise as a consequence of this is AROOJ Shah doesn't just have a connection with the Labour Party because of, she's the leader of the council, and she formerly worked for Jim McMahon and is mates with Angela Rayner, and also worked for Debbie Abrams for a stint. She's the chair of the Labour Party Constitutional Committee. This is a national role. It's a powerful role. Now, based on what is now in the national newspaper, how can her position be tenable? Sir Keir Starmer and the National Executive Council of the Labour Party now have to intervene because they cannot deny they do not know. And so we are clear. One of the reasons I was expelled from the Labour Party was because I reported AROOJ Shah to the Labour Party and her criminal links, as well as the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of little white girls in my town. And the Labour Party expelled me for it. Well, the Labour Party can now no longer hide. This is the chair of the National Constitutional Committee, exposed for her links to the getaway driver of an Oldham cop killer. The next thing I want to question is when Irish IMY was released on parole, I was told from Labour Party sources told me, and I found it incredulous. Here is a cop killer's getaway driver, an Oldham cop killer's getaway driver applying for parole, and apparently he was supported in his application for parole, which then allowed him to remain in Oldham, by a letter on parliamentary letter-headed paper from Jim McMahon. Now, even Jim McMahon's attack dog, Neil Wilby, has reported on this. He's tried to legitimise it with something along the lines of, Irish IMY needed to be near his family. Absolute nonsense. This is a career criminal who spent his time in and out of prison. Now, if Jim McMahon, because I've never seen that letter, and Jim McMahon hides, he's very good at hiding, isn't he? Jim McMahon is very good at hiding. Well, Jim McMahon, if he gave that letter, signed that letter, supporting the parole of an Oldham cop killer's getaway driver, the shadow minister's position has got to be untenable. Keir Starmer has got to sack him. McMahon hides behind the claim that he does not discuss casework. He does not give references, but he does not discuss casework. And of course, whilst on parole, he was picked up, as the Manchester Evening News reported, and thrown back in prison for breach of his parole conditions because he was caught with 2 mobile phones, and I think there's a reference to a knife as well. And I'm sure many of you will have seen Irish IMY post on Jim McMahon's threads on Facebook, whilst many of you are blocked and have your comments deleted. Irish IMY was at the count in the same room as Angela Rayner, Jim McMahon, AROOJ SHAH, and a whole host of other senior Labour Party figures. And to this day, neither Angela Rayner or Jim McMahon have condemned this dangerous individual's role in the Labour Party. Because it is a role in the Labour Party if you're out campaigning, knocking on doors for postal votes. Hashtag Team AROOJ. All this time, James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon and these others from the Labour Party have been calling us far right and trying to link us to individuals who may or may not be far right. Now, can you imagine if I or someone like me had a connection with Tommy Robinson? They would be using that to demonise me, condemn me and discredit me. Well, surely it works both ways. And by the way, I don't have any link, but they've fabricated links. These people aren't even hiding in their links. McMahon must issue a statement. The most likely Deputy Prime Minister of our country must issue a statement. AROOJ SHAH, for the first time in her life, finds herself not wanting to issue any statement. There's Debbie Abrams at the count as well. Well, there you go. All 3 of them were at the count. The NEC, the National Executive Committee, must investigate AROOJ SHAH. They must suspend AROOJ SHAH. They have to remove her from her position as chair of the National Constitutional Committee. And the Labour Party have an option now of intervening in Oldham, just as they have done elsewhere. I think it's in Birmingham. It is Birmingham. They've removed the council leader in Birmingham. They have to intervene and remove the council leader in Oldham. They won't, but they should do. And the National Executive Committee should investigate AROOJ SHAH, who, by the way, to my friends in Greater Manchester Police who are watching, lied and manipulated and worked, collaborated with Greater Manchester Police to have me falsely arrested, falsely charged, and CPS failed to prosecute me as a result of the case against me collapsing in court because the leader of Oldham Council, once her lies were going to be tested in a court of law, in a courtroom, ran away and refused to testify. As Mark Hookham found out, I'm not in the business of lying and I'm not in the business of making things up. Moving on. How did Irish IMY get into the count? Members of the public are not allowed into the count. Attendance in the count in the Civic Centre is by invitation only, and it's by invitation of the candidates or their agents. And even those spaces are extremely limited. Forms have to be filled in and sent to the council, the monitoring officer, which is Harry Caffrell. A Labour source said Miss Shah did not invite Ali to the election count and that he is not a member of the party or formally affiliated with it. Well, okay, we now know he campaigns for the party and he hangs off her arm. So a Labour source can claim whatever they want around Irish IMY's influence and relationship with the leader of Oldham Council, the Labour Party leader of Oldham Council. A Labour source said Miss Shah did not invite Ali to the election count. Well, guess who did? Guess who did? I can confirm now from my sources in Oldham Council that it was indeed a Labour Party councillor who invited Ali to the count and signed off his invitation. That's right, a Labour Party councillor. This is a council in crisis. This is a council in crisis. It has been infiltrated by criminals, and dare I suggest it is run from the shadows by criminals. The police are involved. Oh yes, the police are involved. Greater Manchester Police are involved in this cover-up. It's staggering, isn't it? This is the cop killer's getaway driver. And even then, Greater Manchester Police are on the side of the criminals because they've been infiltrated by the politicians. They're not on the side of law and order. They're not even on the side of their own. Their role is to protect the Labour Party. In Greater Manchester Police's first and primary role is to protect the Labour Party. Or am I lying? Or am I reading the situation wrong? I'm reading it from having been arrested and locked up unlawfully multiple times. Chief Superintendent Chris Bowen, who blew up AROOJ Shah's car. Why won't you issue a statement as to where it was parked in comparison to the vicinity of her house, whether the car was left unlocked or not? What does that CCTV footage show? You arrested 3 individuals over a year ago. What happened? This is, Karen, a gangster run town. And that, Louise, is a story for another transmission, maybe next week, around the shock resignation. And believe me, wait until I show you the paperwork I've got. Wait until I show you the paperwork I've got. And yeah, she is. Angela Rayner Gary is MP for that way. Convicted in the court in the morning. Hours later, celebrating alongside senior figures of the Labour Party. And then in the evening, going to a mocktail bar where he not only is he posting a picture of himself alongside AROOJ Shah, he decides to call me a nonce. Toxic social media? It's not coming from others, is it? The way these people have been trying to manipulate what's gone on, you'd think we were the criminals and we were the gangsters and we are the ones who were inciting hatred. For those of you new to me, do I come across as a madman? No, I don't have a criminal record. I'm 50 years old. A 30-year career in public service. Not 30 years locked behind prison bars. I'm hopefully be back next Sunday. I think we've ended up only with a 2-week break, but it's all right. Took me a while to turn the machines on. And a bit of dread, if I'm honest, because it's challenging, but it's okay. We'll build up and we'll keep going. We know where we're heading to. To those of you who already pay and subscribe to me, I have an ask of you. I found it very challenging. I found the last 3 years, 4 years financially very challenging. Because doing this means I don't work anywhere else, and it also means no one in their right mind would hire me. Who'd want this baggage? And I'm deeply disappointed in the way I don't mind people taking my work and sharing it, even taking my name out. I don't mind that at all. As long as the work gets out that way, that's fine. But it does pain me. Maybe it shouldn't. But it does pain me when people either remove me and credit others or try and claim it as their own. I put hours and hours and hours, as well as risk my life doing what I do. So I find that difficult. This Daily Mail, Sunday Mail story would not have happened. And if Charlotte Green wants to write another nonsense story, I'll wave up my phone and I'll show you all the email exchanges and phone exchanges, text exchanges with the journalists to get it this far. But there's a subscription button on the YouTube channel, and it's at one of the options says the rabble. It's 99 pence. And I'm very reluctant to do this, and I don't want to do this, but at the same time I don't want to be abused. Momentous day for us here in Oldham. Finally, a national newspaper has reported on the relationship between the leader of Oldham Council and the convicted heroin dealing getaway driver of an Oldham cop killer. AROOJ Shah's position in the council is now untenable, and her future in the Labour Party is now, it has to be, it's gone, it's finished. There's a council meeting coming in the not too distant future. Watch what we do at that council meeting. And remember, in the background of all of this, the contradiction, the irony, the injustice is that whilst Irish IMY is being invited in on a red carpet into the council chamber in the civic centre, members of the public are being denied access for crimes such as wagging their finger. I look forward to seeing you all next week. I feel much better. It's like when you when you go on holiday at Christmas and you come back to work and it's your first day back and you kind of dread it. But now I've turned everything on and all the rest of it, I feel much better. Next week we'll go into the Harry Cafferel video. I'll see you all next Sunday evening. Thank you very, very, very much.
Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.